Welcome to the Monopoly Mindset, the podcast where we uncover the strategies to build your real estate portfolio one property at a time.
We're your hosts, Tyler and Tommy, here to share our story of playing real-life Monopoly.
Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, this is your go-to resource for mastering the real estate game.
So grab your board, roll the dice, and let's buy Boardwalk together.
Welcome back to Monopoly Mindset, episode 41. Got a pretty good episode this week. We're going to be talking about some of the work that Ty's done the past week on our property. So I'm excited to dive into the numbers a little bit further here.
Yeah, I've had a couple days off work and I broke my foot, so I have had not much to do besides sit at my house. And yeah, I basically we kind of want to go over like how we end our year real estate related every year. At least this is what I do, and for the property that me and Tommy have together. So basically that just entails like going through our accounting for that year, looking at our cash flow, our expenses, tracking that, putting everything into an Excel. Because like, you project cash flow when you go to buy a place, but it also, it doesn't really matter until that year's over and you actually see what you actually cash flowed. That's how you would get like an accurate ROI. So yeah, and then I feel like that also kind of shows us like where our portfolio's at, and you can see like one property I literally had negative cash flow. So and then I see how much equity I have in that property, and I'm like, maybe I should sell that one. So it kind of gives you like a roadmap potentially of what you should do for the year coming up.
Yeah, some of the stuff we're kind of forced to do just with tax time. Like we have to file our taxes and we have to calculate our expenses. And then it's just taking those numbers one step further and tracking like what your overall equity looks like against what your expenses have been and just evaluating your portfolio. So it's kind of cool that like taxes force us to do it, but then we can, continue to evaluate what's best for our portfolio moving forward.
Yeah, and I've said this a bunch, but I felt for a while, I feel like this is one place that I struggle, that I kind of was spending like energy on, is like tracking expenses and like where to put receipts. And me and you do it a little different, except for the property that we own together. We obviously have to pick one thing, but so I use iPhone shared album for my properties because I pretty much do everything on my phone. So like if I get an email of a receipt, I just screenshot it, go to my albums, I put it in that album for that year, and then I basically just share with my wife because she's the only one that would at this time like have a receipt if she goes to the store or whatever and buys something for a property. And I love that. Now, I don't really. I think you can sign into Apple Photos on the laptop, right, and like look at your shared albums. I've never done it on the computer, but like I do everything for my phone, so it hasn't been an issue. You like Google though, Google Drive, so that's what you can go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, I use Google Drive. I've been trying to get Ty into it with no success. But for the most part, my process is identical to Ty's. Like all my properties pretty much have an email address associated with them, or like they're in my Google Drive or have a Google account. Even for my companies like TDJ, TNT, and my own, I call it 87 Realty. I have a Gmail account for that. All of my properties are in there with folders. And so I'll just go into that Google Drive folder and I'll screenshot, same thing that Ty does, just throughout Google Drive and upload everything under, 2024 expenses, 2025 expenses. And then Ty's a little bit better doing this monthly. Like he'll go in, look at his phone and look at his receipts and start adding it to like his tracker. I'm the type of person that waits, at least at this point, till the end of the year when it's tax time, and I'll go in and take all of my receipts all at once. It takes me a little bit longer, come tax time to get all that calculated, but I'll just scroll through every receipt that I have loaded up for that expense for that property and then put it into a spreadsheet and add up all those expenses, and that's kind of my
Well,
process.
part of the reason that I do it more often now is because of Airbnb has way more expenses, right? So if I did the duplex, I could do that at the end of the year because there's like 10 expenses all year. Like there's some months where the bank account is literally just rent and mortgage, and that's it. Short-term rental is like I'm gonna look. I have 68 receipts from 2025. So obviously I'm not gonna wait till the end of the year to try and track down 68 expenses. Whereas my duplex, I have 18 receipts, and like 10 of those are just the water bill every quarter. So, or eight of those. So, yeah, I think you're fine because again, long-term rentals like typically don't have a ton of expenses. Now, ours we actually did. Hillcrest we had a lot, and we're gonna share that. But yeah, I think I'm finally kind of starting to be less stressed about the system that I have. And part of that's the Excel sheet that we got from the Wealth Juice that I like, and I kind of changed it a little bit, and I'm using that now. So
Part of it's just coming out. I mean, the best system to have is just a system that works, right? And so the more that you become accustomed to doing this, I think this is your first time for a full year sticking with what you set up, and it makes it a lot easier. And that's what Google Drive's been to me. It's just been a simple, easy system that I can take. I use my phone a lot as well. I capture the receipts there, and like I can go into Google Drive and get any photo that I need for my receipts. So I think as long as you have a system that you can stick with, no matter how bad your system is, it's something, right? If you don't have any system at all, then it becomes a lot more frustrating to find receipts, to track your expenses, and then you can spend even longer than we do already with when it comes to taxes.
yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and share kind of our old way of doing it. This is what we've done this year with the property that we have together. Now, again, this one actually has a good amount of expenses, but um, it's not very organized. And like I think I did this like 3 days ago. I basically did like from June till December. And we add those all up. Those are our expenses outside of our mortgage. Then we have like our mortgage, basically times 12. And then so we use Rent Ready to collect rent. Um, so you can export this from Rent Ready, which this was from 2024, but it basically shows you the total amount that you made in rent. That was only like a couple months of the year. Now you can just export every one of your properties in an Excel how much you got paid through Rent Ready, which is really cool. So I basically took that, plugged that in here, and then we had some other income from Venmo. Since we got new tenants, we had them Venmo first month's rent and security deposit. And obviously, you just take your total income, subtract your expenses and your mortgage, and that was our profit. And our total cash flow for 2025 for the property that me and you own together
And that's 87.94 per month that we've been getting on
per
this
month.
property,
Yeah.
which is pretty awesome. If that was a standalone property, probably be Ty and I's best properties. Well, Ty's Airbnb actually does slightly better, but and then Ty and I just split that cash flow. For the most part, the way we run this company, like we have a goal to buy more properties together. So we just let that money grow. We put it into one bank account and
Well,
let it continue.
except for we took out most of it, but yeah,
We did end up
that
paying
is.
ourselves. We don't really pay ourselves monthly, but at this year we talked about it a little bit previously, but we had enough money that was in that account that we decided we had some other expenses we wanted to pull for.
Yeah. So then, if you wanted to figure out ROI, this property is pretty easy because we put down an initial chunk of money at the beginning, and so I guess like our first full year, this property was very very good because it was seller financing. But it would just be the total profit, and we put down what we put 30,000 in total, like 15 each.
Yeah,
So that would be 36%. Now people call that cash on cash, COC. That's just cash flow. That doesn't include any of the other things, loan pay down, tax benefits, and appreciation. So 36 is obviously really good. None of my other properties are even close to this. So the
it's
yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm agreeing. It's really good, and that's like you mentioned it. It's the power of seller financing. That's what made this deal so good.
Yeah, my the Poconos property is closer to like 10. 10% cash on cash, which I think in today's market, a lot of people are happy with. I know like some people would be happy with 6 to 8. Other people I've heard like won't do anything if it's under 15. But yeah, and then like I said, I also have a property that's negative. So that's because it's the one that I have an 8.8 rate on, and the you see that negative cash flow and it's like, damn, I should maybe sell it. The thing is it has potential in that 8.8% rate because I can refinance. So uh anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So that's what we did for this year. And then this is kind of the newer what we're gonna do from here on out. So this will be for 2026. Uh I basically just drug these across every month because they're going to be constant. So that's going to be our mortgage. And then we have a property manager somewhat. We kind of manage it ourselves, but we pay somebody a little bit. Um, and then our income will be generally fixed throughout the year. But this is a lot easier to track. And then it shows you your total. So, like at the end of the year, instead of just looking at this massive list of things, we can see like the total for the year and see if there's any place we can, you know, slim down on expenses or if we're paying too much for certain things.
Yeah, and just to break it down, like again, we're taking these photos, we're uploading them either to Google Drive or to just like the Apple shared photo album. And then once you're going through with these receipts, we're tracking all of that information and uploading it to the spreadsheet that Ty showed previously. And as we're trying to get better, we really like what the Wealth Juice provided us as far as like an income expense sheet. And that's what Ty's got in front of us now. So we can kind of, instead of just having AJ's lawn care like spread sporadically throughout this spreadsheet, now we'll just put AJ's lawn care with like a fixed total kind of across, and it just looks a lot cleaner, and it's a lot easier too to say. I mean, in this instance, we're not paying too much for our property manager, but like maybe if we thought we were, we could look at it and just makes our expenses a lot simpler and a lot easier to review. So it's a cleaner sheet, and it's something again that we talk about. We keep progressing, trying to get better and better each year at how we're tracking things, and we're really excited about where we're at right now and the systems we have in place to track.
Yeah, and obviously, like we customize this for what we have as expenses. My other one looks a little different. Like the Poconos, this expense column is like 15 different things because there's just like you have to pay for Wi-Fi and electric and cleaning and all this different stuff. Long-term rentals are fairly simple. I feel like you it's like you either pay utilities or you don't, and then every couple months you might have a repair, maybe not. But yeah, it's generally pretty simple. But yeah, so I am trying to basically do this once a month for all my properties, and I like to try and stay a little up to date because waiting till the end of the year is a lot of work, in my opinion. But
Yeah, and a lot of investors that we talk to say if they do this once a month, just put it on for like an hour. It doesn't take nearly as long. And then you have like at least an update or like idea of how your properties are going each and every month, and you can kind of notice a pattern quickly. And not saying like you want to sell, but maybe you want to refinance out of your 8.8% rate with rates dropping, or like you can just notice a trend. Like maybe you're paying too much for your water bill, and if you look at it once a year, it doesn't even register how much it's gone up. So I think there's value in checking it once a
or
month.
if you pay for another property's water bill.
That has been done before, mainly by me. I signed Ty and I's property up under TDJ's property and was paying the water bill from the wrong company.
Yeah,
So
we were very confused. We honestly thought we paid the water bill for this property for a whole year until we finally called and they were like, "We don't have an account under that address." And I was like, "Well, we've paid the bill for a whole year." And they're like, we don't even service that address. Like you're outside of the range." And we were like, "What the heck's going on?" So,
they're like, you have a well, you actually don't need to pay for water at all.
yeah, it turns out we were paying for one of Tommy's other properties.
Yeah, that was my mistake. But we got it fixed, and the only issue is now that account won't let me update the email address. I still get the emails to Ty and I's TNT email, and then I set up auto pay out of the other company's account, and it's working for now. So I think the goal would be once the current kids move out, which will be in June or May, the end of May coming up, might get that switched over where the new tenants pay for the water. So that can stop.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, as you mentioned, like tax wise, I feel pretty prepared now. I basically have all my expenses. Obviously, like your accountant doesn't ask for your proof of expenses. It's like you just keep them for your own records in case you get audited. Uh, every accountant I've talked to is like, we trust what you give us, right? They're not going to be like, did you really spend that? But it's your job to keep the proof of expenses for, I'm pretty sure it's like a long time, the government, right? It's like 10 years or 7 years or something.
I think 7 years sounds right. But again, like that's why I love using Google Drive or even just Apple Photo. Like you take the photo, it's up there, it's saved, and you don't have to worry about it. It's somewhere in the cloud and you're good to go.
Dude, up until computers, like imagine a massive business has to keep all expenses for 10 years like a piece of paper.
Dude, could you imagine like your entire closet is just filled with filing cabinets of years of receipts? Like that would just
Yeah. Dude, also I like when I put a receipt from like Home Depot in my wallet for like 6 months, when I take it out, all the ink almost like disappeared. You know what I mean? So
do.
imagine like Google gets audited in like 1996 and they're like, yeah, we have all of our expenses from 10 years ago and it's all just blank pieces of paper because all the ink just like went away. Anyway, we live in a digital world, yes. So, I was gonna say that the other thing that I did was we kind of talked about this a little bit, but like to see your return on equity. So, um, basically take that total cash flow number and divide it by how much equity you have in the property, and you obviously want that number to be higher. So Hillcrest, the property we have, is like insane because we didn't put that much down, so we don't have a ton of equity, and our return was super high. And again, it kind of just lets you see like, okay, this property, I have a ton of equity, and it's like, yeah, maybe I'm making a lot of cash flow, but I have so much equity that should I try and do a HELOC on that property, or do I sell that property and move it into something that I can get a higher return on equity? So I did that for all my properties, and then I also looked at my interest rates, and this one was kind of interesting. And I put like my monthly principal and interest payment, and then I put like what could that payment be if I got a 6.5, a 6, a 5.5? Because again, that kind of lets me see potential. Like property that I have an 8.8, I'm like at could get to 6, but if a property already is at 3, there's no more potential there, right? That's as good as
Yeah.
it's ever going to get. So that also kind of lets, like, again, I have negative cash flow on a property, but it has the highest potential in terms of lowering that monthly payment.
Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty much been a year in review of what we're looking at from our real estate portfolio perspective. Like just this property, and then Ty's done his other properties. I still need to put mine together and complete it, and we're pretty much at the end of the year. It's 12/28 today that they were recording. So tax season, I usually wait until I get like my tax documents back before I go through this. But based off what Ty's already gotten done, I'll probably do my real estate stuff sometime this week and just get an evaluation of where I'm at, look at my numbers, and kind of review it. And I think that kind of leads into what we want to talk about next week on next week's episode is we're going to do a little bit more of like a personal review, which I mean for us is obviously going to include real estate, but also just an overall evaluation of our net worth. And it's something like that we want to track each and every year and seeing like where our expenses are at, how much money we have in our stocks for our 401ks, and just doing an evaluation of seeing where our current debts are at. Can we save some money by trying to pay off some debt? And we're excited to do that episode because we think that's something a lot of people should do. It's easy to put it off, but if you put it off at the beginning of the year, chances are you might go 2 to 3 years without actually checking, your personal financial situation. And this way, it's something him and I like to do on a yearly basis. I'm a little bit older, so I've been able to have a slightly higher net worth than Ty, but he is grinding his butt off, and he's probably going to pass me here in one of these years. And I know he can't wait for that to happen. It'll happen one day, but I'm happy that one day hasn't been yet. But it's
I
fun.
don't
It's fun
know. We'll
for him and
see.
I.
I mean, it's not a competition.
No, it's not. Honestly, I'm very just proud of where Ty's at. I'm proud of where I'm at. If you would have told me that I'd be in any part of the situation I'm in today when I was graduating college, I probably would have laughed and said absolutely no way. So I'm very thankful to be where I'm at. Thankful to see where Ty and Danielle are at as well. It's really cool to see, how you've taken your financial situation and really excelled at it. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, and then that also kind of brings us to like goal setting, and I think we said we were going to do an episode on it. We're okay at it. We are not like the best at it. Like we definitely have set goals like 3, 4 years ago, but I don't think we're the best at like reviewing them every year and then like adjusting them. But it does help me at least like see like, okay, 5 years ago I would have been happy with where I'm at, so like be happy with it versus like, no, I could always get more and more and more and more. Like that's one thing that I struggle with is like, all right, but you wrote this goal 5 years ago, you hit it, so like you're doing good. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about or like feel that way, but like it helps you, I guess, like sit back, relax, and be happy with what you've accomplished because that was, you accomplished your goals. And then I guess on the flip side, there's definitely goals I didn't hit, and yeah, not super happy, but
It's it's challenging. I mean, Ty and I talk often, and we're like, "Yo, we're so broke. We feel broke as heck." And then like, it's nice for us in this situation to do, a personal financial statement or review and look at where we're at and say, you know what, this was a goal of mine 5 years ago. I'm extremely happy to be where I'm at, and kind of like help reevaluate like how we look at the situation, be more glass half full versus glass half empty, and it's a double-edged sword because we're very ambitious and we want to be better, and it's like you got to be open with where you're at today and be very happy with where you're at. And I think Ty and I both do that pretty well, but we're also hard on ourselves as well because we want to be great. So it'll be fun. I mean, I think we're going to do that in two separate episodes. Like I look forward to doing something just to break down personal financial statement or review, so you can just look at where you're at today because what gets measured gets or what gets tracked gets measured. I think that's the correct way to say that. And so if you can start tracking your net worth and you can start measuring where you're at today, I think that's the number one thing that you can really do to start bettering, your financial situation is just looking at where you're at, coming up with a 5 year goal and start taking baby steps to get there. And you can't do that unless if you're tracking it and measuring, where you're at each and every year. So I'm excited to do it. And it's a very simple process. There's a lot of applications out there, websites out there. I currently use Monarch. Ty hasn't necessarily used them, so maybe I'll get into them when we do that. But I'm excited for that episode for sure. And then, we want to do a goal setting one as well, which I think is very valuable too. And, we can parlay off of the net worth goal setting of where we want to be, in several years, but then also just where we want to be from a company perspective and like health perspective. I know, unfortunately, Ty broke his ankle, and I was calling him earlier today. I'm like, man, you better get like a gym membership and start sitting in the sauna or doing something because it's going to be tough to keep the weight off while you have a broken foot. So
yeah, you basically called me at like 9 a.m. to tell me that I'm gonna be fat if I don't do anything. I was like, all right.
that's because I just got off the scale at 8:55, and I was like, damn, I'm fat. I got to convince Ty to get working out too.
Yeah, I did look up gyms, so maybe I will go. But yeah, a couple things. I also wrote down my net worth, but like we did it. We've done it for like 2 or 3 years, but we did it in like a notebook. So like now that I did this year on Excel, I just want to see it on Excel every year, like next to each other, and see if it grows. I know me and you both said that like I don't even remember what it was last year, so I need to put it on the computer. But I think Jelly Roll said I don't know if this was him. I think it was on a podcast, but he said people will be surprised. People overthink how much they can do in a year and underthink how much they can do in 10 years. So like people are like, "Oh, I'm going to get into real estate. I'm going to buy 10 properties on year 1." and like they don't realistically do that. But they also are like, I'd love to have 20 properties in 10 years, and then in 10 years they have 40, and they're like, holy shit. Like, so I think I also, I kind of fall into that too. Is like, all right, next year we're going to buy four, and it's like, that might not be realistic, but in the long run, it's like I'm happy with where we're at. So
Yeah, and if you get to that year and your goal was four, who knows, the following year, if you set the same goal of four, maybe you reach that goal of four, or maybe you double it and you're at eight because so I think as long as you have that goal and you're making progress towards it, it's a really good spot to be versus not having a goal and not making any progress. Like one's significantly better than the other. So it'll be a fun couple of episodes we have coming up and talking maybe a little bit more about our personal situation and where we're at for whoever cares.
yeah, so that's kind of how I spent my Christmas break. Cleaning up our Excel sheets. Sounds fun, right?
Shout out to Ty. Thank you. I appreciate the hard work you put into it.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Let us know if you have any Excel questions or tracking questions. Again, I'm maybe not the best, but I think we finally found something that works for us, and it's up kind of up to what works best for you. So yeah, thanks, and we're gonna go watch the Eagles beat the Bills.
Yes, sir. Go Birds.
Go Birds! Almost playoffs.